To keep a saltwater tank, you have to think like a landlord. You're managing a densely packed underwater apartment building where the success of your tenants depends entirely on the environment you provide. Most people assume that starting with a tiny desktop tank is the easiest way to learn because it's cheaper, it fits anywhere, and it seems manageable. But in the world of reefs, small spaces are actually the most dangerous place to start. The reason comes down to stability. If you put a single drop of pollution into a small glass of water, the entire environment immediately turns toxic. But if you drop that same amount of waste into a swimming pool, the sheer volume of water dilutes it until it's harmless. A larger tank, around 40 gallons or more, acts like that swimming pool. It gives you a massive safety net. When you inevitably make a beginner mistake, like adding a bit too much food, the larger volume of water keeps the environment steady. That biological buffer is your best friend. It buys you time to recognize a problem and fix it before the shift in water quality causes a total ecosystem crash. You might be tempted to just fill the tank from the sink and stir in some table salt, but tap water is full of hidden minerals and chemicals that act as slow-acting poisons for marine life. Even the salt in your kitchen lacks the complex minerals found in the sea. To create a true slice of the ocean, you have to start with water that has been stripped of every single impurity. When you mix this completely pure water with professional marine salt, you've created a blank slate that perfectly mimics the chemistry of a natural reef. Once the water is ready, you need to set up the rooms. This is where live rock comes in. These aren't just decorations, they are the literal foundation and architecture of your underwater building. These stones are incredibly porous, filled with millions of tiny microscopic tunnels. This structure provides a home for the most important workers in your tank, invisible waste processing bacteria that act as your building's natural filtration system. By combining purified salt water with this specialized rockwork, you've established a physical life support system. Now, you just have to wait for the staff to move in. The hardest part of this journey is staring at an empty tank for weeks. It's tempting to add fish on day one, but that's like moving tenants into a high-rise before the plumbing is connected. This waiting period is how you grow your cleaning crew. This chart shows the toxic waste peaks and falls over a 30-day window. You are essentially waiting for a specific type of bacteria to grow large enough to eat the ammonia and convert it into safer byproducts. You don't need to be a chemist to track this. Simple home test kits act like a progress report for your plumbing. When tests show toxic spikes finally hit zero, you know the bacteria have built a waste management system strong enough to handle life. The goal is to let these invisible workers establish a natural balance before you ever introduce a single resident that produces waste. When you finally select your first tenants, look for hardy, peaceful species that were raised in the hobby rather than caught in the wild. A cluster of captive-bred clownfish is the gold standard here. They are incredibly resilient and famous for their bold personalities. Be careful when choosing based on looks alone. A cute 2-inch juvenile at the store might grow into a foot-long aggressive bully. Always check how large a fish gets as an adult, or it might eventually outgrow the apartment and start harassing its neighbors. Remember that every animal you add puts a strain on your invisible cleaning crew. This biological load is the total amount of waste your bacteria have to process. If you add too many messy eaters at once, you'll overwhelm the system and the water will turn toxic. You can also add corals, acting like low-maintenance houseplants. Varieties like these flower-like colonies or soft mushrooms don't require intense lighting or heavy feeding. They simply sit on the rackwork and soak up the environment you've built. Selecting tenants based on their adult size and water impact prevents chemical warfare, keeping the neighborhood peaceful for years to come. You might worry that being a landlord requires grueling weekend marathons of cleaning and scrubbing. In reality, a thriving reef is built on small, consistent habits, not occasional deep cleans. Your daily routine takes 5 minutes. You feed the fish, check that everyone is behaving normally, and top off the tank with fresh water to replace what evaporated. This keeps the salt levels from swinging too high. Then, once a week, you spend 20 minutes on a deeper checkup. You wipe the glass to keep it clear and swap out about 10% of the water. This physically removes the excess nutrients that your bacteria couldn't handle on their own. The ultimate secret to this hobby is simple. Have extreme patience. In a reef tank, nothing good happens quickly. Whether it's a coral polyp slowly blooming or a fish finding its favorite hiding spot, beauty takes time to grow. By providing a stable home and sticking to a few simple habits, you can successfully manage a thriving piece of the ocean. The ocean's landlord isn't a scientist, they're just someone who knows how to keep things steady.